Welcome back to Killer Connections, where we uncover the darkest mysteries. Tonight, we're diving into the haunting case of 4 quadruple murders, a story of deception, betrayal, and a town hiding deadly secrets. The University of Idaho Quadruple murder case has captivated the nation due to its horrific nature and the mysterious circumstances surrounding the killings. Here are the full details. The crime. On November 13, 2022, for University of Idaho students, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were brutally murdered in an off-campus rental house in Moscow, Idaho. They were all college students, and their deaths stunned the small college town. Kaylee Goncalves and Madison Mogen were best friends who lived on the third floor of the house. They were both 21 years old. Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin were a couple, 20 and 20 years old, respectively, and they were staying at the house that night as well. The victims were all stabbed multiple times, and the manner of the killings was particularly gruesome. A knife was used in the attack, and authorities have said that some of the victims appeared to have defensive wounds. 2 other roommates who were present in the house at the time of the murder survived the attack, but they did not report anything unusual happening that night, though one of them did reportedly hear crying and a voice, but didn't immediately react. Investigation. The case initially stunned law enforcement due to the apparent randomness of the crime and the lack of obvious suspects. Investigators conducted an intense search for leads, and the details of the crime were kept mostly under wraps for a while, adding to the mystery. One key piece of the puzzle was the discovery of DNA evidence. On December 30th, 2022, Brian Kohberger, a 28-year-old criminal justice PhD student at Washington State University, was arrested in connection with the murders. Brian Kohberger. Kohberger was living just a few miles away from the crime scene in Pullman, Washington. He had been enrolled in a PhD program at Washington State University in nearby Pullman, which is about 10 miles from Moscow, Idaho. Police believe Kohberger had been stalking the house before the murders. Key details about Kohberger. Arrest. He was arrested on December 30th, 2022, in a dramatic early morning raid at his family's home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, based on evidence that pointed to him. Authorities used a combination of DNA and surveillance footage from the night of the murders to tie him to the crime scene. Theories of obsession. It's been suggested that Kohberger had a fascination with crime, given his academic background in criminology. It's also been reported that he may have been obsessed with one or more of the victims. Vehicle information. Police used surveillance footage of a white Hyundai Elantra seen near the crime scene, which led them to Kohberger's vehicle and ultimately to his arrest. Behavioral profiling. Kohberger reportedly took an interest in the case after the murders, trying to engage with online forums discussing the killings, possibly as a way to monitor the investigation or even mislead authorities. Evidence and motive. Details about the evidence in the case are still coming to light, but here's what has been revealed so far. DNA evidence. Kohberger's DNA was allegedly found on a knife sheath discovered near one of the victims, and it matched genetic material left behind at the scene. Phone records. Kohberger's cell phone records placed him near the victim's house multiple times, both before and after the murders. Authorities claim that he was in the area on multiple occasions, sometimes late at night, and that his phone was turned off during the attack. Surveillance footage. Investigators have shown footage of Kohberger's car near the victim's home around the time of the murders. Kohberger's online activity. Some reports indicate that Kohberger may have used online questionnaires or surveys to solicit responses about criminal behavior, raising concerns that he could have been trying to analyze or predict crimes in order to better understand his own potential motivations. The trial. Kohberger is facing 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary for allegedly entering the victim's home with the intent to commit murder. The trial is expected to be a long and complex process, with prosecutors potentially focusing on premeditation and Kohberger's background in criminology as part of the case. Public reaction. The case has sparked widespread media attention, especially given the eerie details about Kohberger's academic background and his proximity to the crime scene. His arrest has led to debates about the nature of criminal profiling and how someone with such a background could be involved in such a violent crime. This case has raised many unsettling questions, especially about the potential psychology behind Kohberger's actions. The fact that 2 roommates survived the attack adds an element of intrigue as well. What exactly did they witness, and how could they not have known what was happening earlier in the night?